Hey guys, it's TF Note. Welcome back to the channel. And for the last day of Anime Week here on the channel, I'm going to be taking a look at a model kit that previously released Bandai Mobile Suit Gundam Real Grade 1/44 scale RX-78-2 Gundam. This is the very first ever real grade that was released. This is not the 2.0 version, so I don't want to clickbait anyone here. That's why I titled this video the way I did. But I do have the 2.0 in my possession. I've been working on that. I actually have that finished. I'm working on the video right now, working on that at the same time as I'm working on this. So the day I upload this, the next day I'm going to be doing a review of the 2.0 with a comparison of that and the 1.0 in that video. This one here I actually bought about a month before the 2.0 got released, I believe. I got it from Hobby Lobby. I actually didn't get around to building this until last month, though, because I just was behind on it. But I finally built it. This is my first ever real grade I've ever built. I have a few others that I own that I need to build, but this one here, yeah, I have my thoughts. But I basically made this my first ever real grade to see what my second ever real grade, which is a 2.0 version, just how much of a leap that's going to be between technology over the past 14 years. Now, as you've been seeing, this is the packaging. I've had images of the packaging. A lot of you guys are familiar with what's going on here. I think the design of this has always been really cool, especially with the front where you have that large image of that head on the left as well as the full body of basically the 3D render of the model kit. Bunch of other information and different things throughout the entire box, including the whole thing built and also showing off the inner frame. I did thankfully have the foresight to do a before the box section a while ago, which yeah, I was almost completely forgot to do that. But this here, you guys are probably also familiar with this. It's been out for 14 years. This is the multicolored runner that also comes with those sticker style decals. I do have the water slides. We'll look at those a little bit later. We have some white runners as well as some darker colored runners, and I believe the inner frame was also in that bag. And then we have some white and off-white runners here. Then we also have the instruction manual here. This is a pretty nice instruction manual. It is very detailed. It does have a centerfold section that shows a lot of stuff going on in color there. And here is the model kit built out of the box, and I do kind of like it and also kind of don't at the same time. I don't want to use the term real grade syndrome because I feel like that is just inherently a negative thing, as if this thing is made bad. I don't think that's the case. I think this is actually a pretty decent kit, and I think for the time, if I had gotten this back then, I would have been absolutely blown away like a lot of people were back in the day. I do think that things don't really hold up on this particular kit, though, and I just got to be honest about that. It's definitely not bad, but I don't know if I would recommend picking it up at this point. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories this comes with, and we'll take a closer look at the model kit. Now I have a PSA on these stickers. This and the water slide decals here. As you see, pretty much the exact same type of detailing in these. These are sold separately. These come with it. I forgot to show off what all this looks like before I started using stickers. The eye stickers are an absolute nightmare on this thing. I don't usually use these stickers too. I mean, they don't look bad, but the borders usually really irk me. This here will help with that. These are usually like $6 to $8. The thing is that we had eye stickers here that were basically like this one that's clear with that black outline, and another one was the black outline but with gold, and you'll notice both of those are gone. That's because I tried to use the sticker first, didn't work out, broke in half, and the things were peeling off of it, and then the this just ripped in half when I tried to apply the gold sticker there. So yeah, dealing with the eye stickers just sucks on this thing, and I wasn't going to use this, so I ended up using the clear eye sticker basically in here. And you'll notice it's a little hard to see because it's dark, but you see that clear eye sticker, and it's not covering the entire surface, unfortunately. I mean, it's not that easy to see, but you'll see a little bit of the gap of the sculpt there. But then I just painted the inside of the eye there with a gold Gundam marker, and then I applied that. It was such a hassle, but I honestly can't tell the difference between this and the sticker that much. Now I'm going to level with you guys. I have tried to record this section way too many times. My brain is absolutely fried. So if this image is good enough for you to get an idea of what is going on with the accessories, I would skip to the next part of the video. We're going to be here for a long time. These are the hands, the articulated hands. We have nice detailing at the fingers. You see the articulation in there. We have a ball joint in there at the palm, and then it actually bends at the knuckle there, which is kind of cool. They work in practice. Like, you have some nice detailing in the back here. Detailing inside is really nice too, but yeah, these ball joints here, they really like to pop out at here. We don't have any other kind of hand to hold weapons, so you are forced to use these. These things can just be way too finicky sometimes. You do have this little opening section right here. That is going to be for some of the accessories. So first of all, let's take a look at the beam saber handles. These two here are, we have 4 total. 2 of these with the peg sticking out for that function I was talking about, and then we do have 2 here that have a little bit of an open section. You do have some nice detailing of some rivets kind of towards the that switch there. It's a little bit hard to see because the light is just too bright, but there's a bit of a mold line in there where you can get that out pretty easily. I have one of these with the beam saber effect in there, so you get 2 of these effects. This nice long pink translucent piece that does expand a little bit right here. This just at the like the base of the feet, this beam effect is definitely taller than the kit, which is insane. Fitting the beam saber handle into the hands, it's not too hard with these ones here. Just peg in, it gets a little bit tricky. You peg in the beam saber handle into that section there, and then it actually can grip it and looks like it's gripping it really naturally. Some of the other accessories, they just don't look natural in those hands, but these here with this dual wield right here, that looks really nice. Now we also have a beam rifle right here. This is one thing that doesn't look very natural when it's holding it, but I do like how they do. I'm mostly used to seeing an all gray beam rifle here, but the white section in there is really nice. The detailing's good. We have this piece that flips out here. The dark plastic, all of that looks actually really good. This gray plastic, and we have a little bit of a yellow sight here. Beam saber effects don't work as a shooting effect, unfortunately. This back section right there. Tried to get that nub out, not super easy. This also has this peg system right here where it pops out this way. It can go the opposite way. Basically, you just fit it into the hand as well. It's also really tricky to do it with this one. Way more trickier than the beam saber handles, because you have to fit the finger into the trigger hole, and then you have to wrap everything around. The thumb doesn't really want to wrap around the rifle in a natural way, but once you get it to look, fine, it can do shooting poses. But I feel like, this inner frame is just rather weak to where it actually feels like it droops down when it just does one-arm poses with the, one-handed shooting poses, I should say. Then we have the hybrid bazooka. This thing is actually really nice looking too. Really nice detailing of some white in the panels going on here. We have this moving handle piece here, which also has this flipping out section there for fitting that into the hands. Back white section here looking pretty nice. Then we have this basically like this missile carrying system right there. Everything is covered. And then this section would go onto the shoulders. Doesn't really fit that well. All this looks pretty good. And we have this section here that there is a port on the back flaps where you open that up, and then you can peg in the hybrid bazooka into weapon storage. Now, it can be a little bit finicky. It does move around if you move it with your finger a little too much, but also when I try to shake it out, it doesn't want to move out too much. So, it's kind of a toss-up when it comes to how secure that is, but it's, kind of cool that it functions like that. And then this is what it looks like holding that. It's also not the greatest connection here. It's a little loose in the hands, and then trying to get that shoulder piece that's supposed to wrap around the shoulder armor, it's really not that easy. And I just don't think it looks super duper natural, but it's still not too bad, I guess. Then we have the shield. This looks really nice with the red separated plastic going on in there. Nice panel lining. The yellow separated part there is pretty good. And the white is not coming through too bad either. But the inside here, even though it's nicely detailed, it's all in white. Probably should have been in gray. This does have a function right here where it goes up and down. This little peg goes into the forearm. You can kind of rotate that a little bit too if you wanted to. And then you do have this rotating handle system. Unfortunately, this can be a little bit difficult to put into the forearm because you have to slot that into the forearm. You can wrap the fingers around really nice, and it's actually not too bad of a secure grip there, but putting in that peg into the forearm, it's kind of loose, and then this is what it looks like when it's holding it. So you can definitely make it look natural. It's just going to take some time, effort, and definitely some patience. With this shield too, forgot to mention, we do have weapon storage sections here. We have this peg here that goes into those beam saber handles that I was talking about with the opening, and then we have these upper sections right here. The idea is basically you just put in those beam sabers I was talking about, those handles, into there. It can be a little bit finicky to get in there, but it's actually a pretty secure fit in there. And then you can put the peg from the beam rifle into either of those slots towards the top of the shield. None of those slots fit for the Hyper Bazooka, unfortunately, which it just is not going to look natural if you try to do that. Then we have the Core Fighter. This thing is actually really nice. I need to pull that out. We actually have a bit of a working cockpit here. It's not perfect, but it can lift up pretty nice, actually. We have some nice inner detailing right there. The wings have some nice detailing. The back even, too, where you would plug this into the midsection. We'll talk about that in a second. And these here are separate pieces of plastic, and you pop these out, these landing gear pieces. This is for when you're using the core block section. And then the fence on here, all those vents look actually really nice. So this is a nice little detailed piece here. The idea with this is you're transforming this. You put up the wings, you push in the cockpit, I should say, and you push that down. You actually, the back fin piece, you also push up, and then it looks like a core block. I have an image of what the core block looks like with the actual Core Fighter turned into a core block. The idea, of course, is that that's more of an articulated gray piece that has actual articulation to simulate still that you have a Core Fighter in there. And this allows for you to switch in and out how the Core Fighter can be done with the core block. Basically, you just separate at the torso. There's a lot of open space once you take out the core block and the Core Fighter if you're switching back and forth. And then popping out the Core Fighter is a little bit difficult, or really core block I should say, because the red section that meets the blue at the chest will pop out with it, and you can just pop it back in just easily. And I had to skip around a little bit because it does get pretty difficult to pop things in and out, but you can put in this Core Fighter as the core block. The articulation definitely gets hindered. That's why we have the core block in the first place, but it's still cool that you have that function if you really want to use that. We do also have a very small 1/44 scale miniature Amuro Ray figurine here. This thing is really nicely detailed for what it is. I mean, it could be a little bit better detailed, but it's such a small piece that I don't really expect much more. Like, this definitely looks like Amuro in his pilot outfit. You would just have to paint up a little bit, which I've seen people on Reddit paint this up, and it's kind of insane. Last but certainly not least, we do have this base adapter system, which I don't really have a base for this, but you do plug this into the thin section on the back of the skirt section, and then you would just plug the base into the next section. So you could do flying poses, jumping poses, whatever with that. Now I'm going to try to do my best to keep everything together because this thing really likes to fall apart a lot. That is my biggest problem with this, is that unfortunately this inner frame is just not really up to par. I think back then a lot of people were really impressed with it, and I'm sure if I got this back then I would be too. The inner frame, you're seeing it on the screen right now. A lot of us know what it looks like. It's a little bit thin, and it's a little bit of like a softer plastic almost. The thing about this, though, is that the connections here is just way too loose here. Like, this leg is so wobbly, and the hip sections and the arms are the worst about it. They will pop off all the time. Things are definitely going to pop off in a second. So I'm going to try to get through the detailing as quick as I can. I think that the head section looks really nice. They actually have really nice color separation with these vent sections, the yellow Vulcan guns right there. And then this, you didn't actually need to do anything when it comes to this V-fin. They took off the safety nubs there, which is pretty nice. And again, I talked about how I did the sticker there. The sticker, I painted it gold first, and then the sticker, and it doesn't look perfect, but it's not too bad. But color separation in this head is really nice. I like how this looks. And then you have this back section there. I don't remember seeing any kind of camera or stickers for the cameras. Like, these would usually be like a metallic red. This entire look, along with the 3.0 Master Grade, this is based off of the original Diver City statue. I think that got replaced with the Unicorn. But this is definitely not, because this came out before this. This is definitely not the one that was at Yokohama. That would be insane as a real grade. I don't know if they ever did that. But this is a real-life version of a Gundam that they turned into a model kit, which is really nice. And that's kind of the whole thing with this line, was that realistic versions of some of these mobile suits put into 1/44th scale. But the thing is that, I really do like how they color separated things. like the white with the off-white almost here, and then you kind of get that here too with like this like almost brownish gray there, a little bit of darker gray with that, you know, complete white. This is also a little bit of a, you know, very light gray there. And I think it looks good a lot, but yeah, this thing gets really wobbly real quick. And like the backpack detail is still really good. And then these pieces, they're plugged into a ball joint right there, and they can move around a little bit. Yeah, not the great. I mean, yeah, it works pretty well. They kind of get a little wobbly though. Just the par for the course with this kit. You will probably need to top coat the inner frame. I've heard people say that that will help, but even then, I feel like that doesn't really do much because a bunch of the other problems are the armor pieces. The arms in particular, when you move them around too much without making sure they're pushed in first, they will, like, look at this. The entire 40% of this kit just came undone. This here, and that's the thing is, you know, you'll need to put in some extra work. That's a whole lot of thing with these model kits, you know. Put in some extra work to glue this. It'll be worth it in the end. I don't do that yet. I build these kits. Maybe I'll do a little bit of detailing with panel lining. The front skirts and back skirts want to fall off all the time as well. It's not possible to pose with these without these falling off. But, you know, putting in the extra work, that's part of the course with this kit and a bunch of other kits. But I build it the way it is now to show you what struggles are basically coming down. Like, I don't think it looks bad. I actually love how this looks, especially like the light blue with the darker blue separated in there. You get that in the chest too. That yellow plastic also comes through pretty nice. There's decals that make this look gold. I have not done that yet. The panel lining on the chest looking really good. And again, those details on the shoulders are actually looking nice, but things also want to keep popping off there. I like how they did this little like side elbow cap section. That's pretty nice. A little bit of gapping going on here, but this is for the function. This is for another function, you know, the shield. The fists are pretty nice. They have nice detailing in the back of the hands. And then the actual fingers and the thumb, all that is really nice. But these will be bent. Like this peg, this ball joint that goes into the socket here, this is straight up, and that will look bent, unfortunately. So it looks a little strange, but that is not that big of a deal to me. Again, really great color separation, actually in this red section where it's a little bit lighter on the sides and darker on the red. Again, this lighter gray with the white there. Lots of nice panel lining once again. Like, that's one thing I can say about this kit. It looks really good, especially for 2010, which wasn't that long ago. Detailing wasn't that bad back then, but yeah, this, you know, they even have the V fin or the V crotch separated with plastic there, looking really nice. And getting that down to the knees, we'll talk about this in a second, but you do kind of get an idea of some of this inner detailing right there when you move that, and that is just such a cool way that they have that function. They kind of have this in the 2.0, but I would argue that the functions here, the way that this slides, might be a little better. I'll have to get that out later in the next review for that. I do think that this has too much of a gap here. Not too bad. Pushing this back in. Oh, wow. That actually stayed together. I thought things were going to fall apart. Definitely comes apart around here. When we move down, we'll talk about that later. There are stickers to cover this, actually, with like a bronze type of you know, metal there. I may paint these with gold in the future. They also have some for these, but just like with the 3.0 Master Grade, I'm pretty sure, putting the stickers in here, which there's actually detailing in there, that's actually really nice. Putting the stickers in there, it's going to rub up against the stickers and mark them, and then they're just going to eventually come off. So I would just paint these with whatever you want, like a gold or a bronze type of paint going on in there. Again, just like really impressive color separation. Like, it's just nice looking. And they have some panel lining around the shins. And then these even smaller pieces, these were a little bit hard to get in there. But they actually stay in really nice. They don't want to fall out at all. These pop off all the time, though. Whatever these little front you know, shin sections are around the ankle, they don't want to stay in at all. And then these little cap pieces want to pop off all the time. Then you get some detailing actually on the bottom of the feet with a nice little, I don't think these are the verniers. I don't remember what these are, but that separated looks really nice. And then the top here. What you're going to notice throughout this whole piece here is that they capture a lot of these nice small rivet details in here on such a small kit. I will say I could have done maybe a better job cleaning things up, but this plastic does tend to mark a little too much. I tried to get it out in the red as best as possible. But yeah, there were just some areas where like it was way too curved and just not a good way for me to, not a good area for me to clean things up. So some of this might look a little messy. This actually stayed apart easier than I thought I was going to, but when we get to articulation, that's probably going to be a different story. Now, if anything pops off here, we are keeping it off because it's just going to take way too long for me to put back on. If like a whole arm pops off, then I'll show off how the articulation works, of course. But we have a ball joint here at the head. It's that yellow piece is a little too apparent, but not too bad. Then we have separate articulation going into the body at the neck, so it can actually, I wish it went down more, but it really doesn't. Up like that, though, actually not too bad. Side to side, not really a little bit of a bobble there, not too crazy about it. These are, just look how loosey-goosey these are, just not secure. And they also push these away, again, they push these away, so it's just going to be loose. And then, yeah, that wants to, you push this in, and then all this would just come undone. I really don't like it. Arms can go all the way around there, and then these can kind of jostle, of course. They go out like this. You can push this out a little bit right here. Really nothing going forward and back, though. Again, all the way around. Upper arm swivel, things keep popping off. We do have some nice features where this does want to move. If you hyperextend this a little too much, it can, see, that is coming undone. So let's keep that in mind. But it does have a double joint elbow. It's already coming off. That still works pretty well, though. I'm trying to see what else there is. A swivel here at the wrist and then a ball joint. Yeah, pretty standard. Again, the core block is what's going to have the articulation, but it actually doesn't really move that much. If it wants to go forward, maybe you can push this a little bit. Yeah, no, not at all. It really doesn't help. Forward, back, side to side. Rotate that. I do want to mention that when you're using the core block pieces and you're cutting things out of the kit and putting things together, this snapped on me, not completely, so it's still usable, but yeah, that has a lot of stress put on it when you try to apply that, assembling that in the model kit, so be careful. That leg just popped off. All right, we do have this going back and forth. This actually stays in pretty well. These can bend out like this and then swivel a little bit, and maybe actually you can also make this go forward and back a little bit because it's on a separate swivel section. That just popped off, even though I said it was in there pretty tight. Yeah, it's falling apart. These pop off. You see the separated plastic. Just, yeah, you guys get it. That leg popped off, so that goes forward. It will, if you were to do what, if you were to put this back on and then push that, eventually everything just comes apart. This is a good time just to show you how it looks. This piece blocks this from going all the way forward like this at the hips, but it can go back like that. Push this down. That moves really well. We also have, and then, it has a split section right here. I forgot to mention that with that ball joint. That knee bend is also really good there too. Can't deny that. Still looks pretty nice. This pops out and you can make this go forward and back here. It actually has a ball joint almost, like it swivels a little bit. Rotation, things are popping off again. These things should swivel if they don't come undone all the time. And then we do have a little bit of a ball joint ankle rocker. And then separate pieces here move, like at the feet. So there's definitely 3 sections here, but things just won't stop popping off. This is the aftermath of everything once I'm done with the articulation. This is one kit you're definitely going to want to keep in a static pose if you ask me. Measuring out the model kit, we're looking at about maybe a little over 13 centimeters. So that is going to put this a little bit over 5 inches, like 5¼ inches. I have actually the other real-life RX-78 here. That is the F00 version from Yokohama. I'd like to review that one day. It's going to be a little bit taller. Right next to it on the left, a little bit of an older kit, the Jagan right there, which is actually a really nice kit. On the left and right, we have standard size Black Series and Marvel Legends. They're going to be taller. Overall, I don't want to completely write off this kit, but you guys can see how frustrated I was getting towards the end of this review. I don't think that this is an objectively bad kit. I just think it's a little too ambitious for the time. This was the very first real grade, and it just kind of shows, unfortunately. That's not entirely a bad thing because it led to a lot of great real grades in this line. Like, there's some revolutionary stuff, like borderline revolutionary stuff that came out of the real grade line. It all had to start with this one here. So I definitely respect Bandai for that. This kit is still a really nice representation of the Diver City version. And I do think that it looks really good, especially that head. A lot of great part separation and color separation on here to where you really don't need to use any stickers. I mean, they come with the decals. That's pretty nice. But it looks fine on its own without those decals, and I just wasn't going to bother with those. The articulation is pretty good in the arms and legs, especially the shifting mechanics with some of those armored pieces, but the head and torso could definitely be better. It's not too bad in the head, but the torso, even if you swap out the core fighter with the core block that's supposed to have more articulation, it's not really great. Biggest complaint, of course, is the loose parts, especially the arms and legs being extremely loose, popping off almost any time I was moving this. And then smaller pieces, which, you know, we have small part separation, which is the whole thing with real grades, but it's just not fine-tuned, unfortunately, with this kit. The accessories are still pretty nice. I think that the beam sabers and all those weapons, and the beam rifle, that's pretty sick. The hyper bazooka is a little bit hard to manage, as well as the shield, but the core fighter transforming is still really cool, and the Armorel little minifigure is nice. The articulated hands, I like the idea of them, but they just don't really work in practice. This is one kit you're definitely going to need to put in some time and effort to make it a little better. You know, top coat to tighten up some joints and just, you know, maybe gluing a couple things down. This is still a pretty nice kit. I will tell you, I don't know if it's, you know, worth $30 compared to the $37 2.0, but we'll get to that review right after this one. Until then, thank you guys very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the model kit, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there. And thank you guys for making this a good anime week.